Good afternoon, everybody. I would once again like to request everybody to please kindly put your phone on silent mode or turn it off. Before we start the session, I can hear some more rings if I request once again if you can put it on the silent mode. Before we start today's second day session, I would like to request everybody to please kindly raise your hands in the air and let's get that positive energy. Let's start this day with a smile on the face. Super. आप सभी को नमस्ते, नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल, वनक्कम, केम छो, जय जिनेंद्र to everybody present here. My name is Yash Bothra and I will be the presenter for today. It gives me immense pleasure as there are so many dignitaries and there's so many participants present here. Thank you once again to joining us. Can we have a big round of applause for everybody present here? Today, we are gathered here to discuss on the Gujarat State Seminar, Investment Opportunities in Aerospace and Defense Sector in Gujarat. Gujarat is one of the most industrialized and urbanized state in India and has become one of the most preferred investment destinations. Before we start, we will now play a short movie providing a glimpse of various schemes and policies to strengthen the investments in Gujarat. Can we have the AV, please?
Gujarat, the cradle of entrepreneurs, India's manufacturing hub. Several of India's futuristic infrastructure projects are located in Gujarat. It is considered as India's growth engine. The state occupies pride of place as the gateway to development and progress. Gujarat plays a major role in fulfilling Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's vision of an Atmanirbhar Bharat. The Atmanirbhar Gujarat schemes for assistance to industries 2022 shall be a major step from Atmanirbhar Gujarat, say Atmanirbhar Bharat. With these schemes, Gujarat aims to transform the manufacturing ecosystem through increased assistance to industries, de-risking of investments, encouraging entrepreneurship, multiplying employment opportunities, promoting value addition, and adopting greener manufacturing practices. The Atmanirbhar Gujarat schemes could lead to investments of rupees 12.5 lakh crore and also generate employment opportunities for nearly 15 lakh people in Gujarat. Some of the noteworthy features of the schemes are increased scale and scope of assistance to MSMEs. MSMEs to get a basket of incentives up to 100% of their investment. Capital subsidy to micro enterprises. Employment-linked incentives to encourage quality employment opportunities. Net SGST reimbursement to industries for making their products more competitive. Interest subsidy to industries for lowering the cost of capital. The state has a thriving economic ecosystem, excellent infrastructure and surplus energy, along with business-friendly policies, and is among the top achievers in ease of doing business. Over 8.5 lakh MSMEs of Gujarat have been key contributors to Gujarat's inclusive growth and generation of employment opportunities. Gujarat has established itself as a leader in key sectors of the economy, and its manufacturing sector will receive further impetus with the Atmanirbhar Gujarat schemes. Under the schemes, the incentives will range from capital and interest subsidies, SGST reimbursements, EPF reimbursements, electricity duty exemption, reimbursement of stamp duty, and more. The schemes will encourage the youth and budding entrepreneurs to fulfill their ambitions, transforming them from being job seekers to job creators. The Atmanirbhar Gujarat schemes will create enhanced opportunities for development of new manufacturing sectors, their ancillary ecosystem, and also enable industries to become part of global supply chains. The key thrust manufacturing sectors identified in the scheme include green energy related manufacturing, mobility, capital equipment, metals and minerals, textiles and apparels, sustainability, agro-processing, gems and jewelry, chemicals and healthcare. They will enable the state to achieve balanced regional growth through special incentives for industries in lesser developed regions. Besides enabling scaling up of existing enterprises from MSME to large and from large to mega projects. The Atmanirbhar Gujarat schemes for assistance to industries will also encourage industries to transition towards green manufacturing practices and adopt decarbonization initiatives to align with the Panchamrit principles laid down by the Honorable Prime Minister at COP26 Summit towards an energy independent India. Under the visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, India has risen as the fastest growing economy in the world and is now marching towards self-reliance. The Atmanirbhar Gujarat schemes for assistance to industries 2022 will further energize the growth and reinforce the journey of Atmanirbhar Gujarat se Atmanirbhar Bharat.
That was quite inspirational video. It gives me immense pleasure once again as I welcome you all to the Asia's largest Defense Expo, Def Expo 2022. Atmanirbharta, Atmaraksha, Atmavishwas, Path to Pride. The Government of India has identified aerospace and defense sector as a focus area for the Make in India Atmanirbhar Bharat and has taken considerable steps to push forth the establishment of indigenous infrastructure to encourage manufacturing of defense equipment, thereby promoting self-reliance in defense manufacturing and technology. I would like to call upon our first speaker for today, Dr. Rahul Gupta, IAS, Industries Commissioner, Government of Gujarat, to present Gujarat's value proposition in the aerospace and defense sector. Can we have a big round of applause, please?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I, on behalf of the Government of Gujarat, once again welcome all of you to this Path to Pride Defense Expo 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, India is commemorating 75 years of independence, celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And our aim is complete self-reliance in the defense sector. As soulfully mentioned by our Honorable Raksha Mantri, freedom is not a goal, but a path. And we, Government of Gujarat, are committed to empower you to walk hand in hand with you on this path to pride. From merely 1900 crore rupees worth of exports in 2014-15 to a whopping 13,000 crore rupees worth of exports in 2021-22, India, friends, have achieved a humongous growth as a leading defense exporter in the world. In fact, countries across the world, they have started reposing absolute faith in our manufacturing capabilities. And we are certainly moving steadily from Make in India to Make for the world. Talking about Gujarat, Gujarat, armed to the teeth with its robust ecosystem, is all set to emerge as a driver of this Make for the World objective. And now, with state-of-the-art semiconductor facility being set up in Gujarat, Gujarat is the most favored to lead India's vision of an Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense sector. Ladies and gentlemen, why Gujarat? Let me take you through. With merely 5% of India's population, Gujarat contributes 9% to India's GDP, accounts for 18% of India's industrial output, 11% of India's factories, and over 30% of India's exports. Our manufacturing sector, it contributes about 35% to the state's GDP, which is higher than the national average. No wonder we are home to nearly 100 Fortune 500 companies. We are a pioneering state with many firsts to our credit. First in startup rankings, first in logistic performance, first in export preparedness, first in good governance, and friends, more recently we have been ranked as the best performing state in the ease of doing business rankings in the latest edition of 2020. We, talking about the ecosystem, be it air, rail, road, water, or even internet, we are strongly and steadily connecting to the global corridors. In fact, we are the first state in the country to have a fully functional statewide natural gas and water supply grid and 100% electrification. Apart from dedicated SEZs and SIRs, we have more than 7,500 hectares of well-developed industrial land spread across the length and breadth of the state. With mere 6% of India's geographic area, we are handling more than 40% of India's port cargo through a very strong network of 48 ports dotted along our coastline. We have availability of skilled talent pool through a robust network of vocational training centers, skill development centers, centers of excellence spread across the state. We call ourselves a one-click government. We are just a click away from you. Our 24/7 investor facilitation portal, which is based on the principle of minimum government and maximum governance, in fact, it's a benchmark for the global economy. Our GIS-based land bank system, it enables you to access in a single click the resourcefulness, the topography, and the connectivity details of available land parcels across the state. We consider that our MSMEs are our mitochondria, and the state government, with a view to promote the MSMEs, it has exempted any new enterprise wanting to set up a unit in Gujarat from obtaining certain approvals and permissions for a period of 3 years. We assure you of a dedicated nodal officer from concept to commissioning and beyond. I hope and trust you understand the importance that we attach to the ease of doing business. Friends, our leadership is progressive, futuristic, and it constantly strives towards futuristic infrastructure projects, be it Dholera SIR, which is India's largest greenfield investment region spread in an area of over 920 square kilometers, or GIFT City, which is India's first international financial services center with world-class infrastructure for offshore and banking transactions, or be it the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor or the dedicated freight corridor, which is pegged as the world's largest infrastructure project, or the world's largest 30,000 megawatt wind-solar hybrid park in Kutch. Gujarat aims to fire on all 4 cylinders in the defense sector, and that isn't possible without a strong engineering base. Our MSME sector is our nerve center. Having said that, our 30,000 strong engineering sector MSMEs spread across 30 clusters across the state, they contribute around 9% to our India's engineering output. We have state-of-the-art shipbuilding infrastructure, and we have the largest dockyard with facilities for construction of a wide range of submarines and warships. We strongly believe that a well-established industry-academia interface supported by a robust ecosystem, R&D ecosystem, that is the way forward in defense. We have the Ballistic Research Center at the National Forensic Sciences University in Gandhinagar, which provides state-of-the-art facilities for testing various kinds of ballistic materials. We have the Rashtriya Raksha University, an institution of national importance, which offers academic courses in military affairs. The Institute of Defense Studies and Research has been set up as an autonomous institute for conducting academy and research activities towards augmenting the defense sector. Friends, Gujarat is the blue-eyed state of the Indian industry. To name a few, we have L&T. Of course, we have a renowned speaker from L&T who will be giving more details about the same. But nevertheless, L&T at Hazira has established a world-class armored systems complex, and they have very successfully delivered K9 Vajra tanks to the Indian Armed Forces. JVIL, again a UK-based organization, has set up an integrated aerospace manufacturing facility in Sanand for providing tools, fixtures, and smart jigs for aerospace applications to the likes of Boeing, Rolls-Royce, Airbus, and so on. Uniforge, it specializes in forging and machining. Again, Schoff Shipyard, it's again a shipbuilding company located at Bharuch, which holds the industrial license for construction of warships, and it has successfully delivered some 60 vessels in the last 15 years. We offer you a bouquet of aerospace and defense offerings and opportunities, from artillery to aircraft, from automotive to shipbuilding, from research to repairs. We have it all here in Gujarat. Friends, we are a policy-driven state. Our aerospace and defense policy has a sharp focus to give the necessary inertia, to give the necessary impetus to your intent and investment. The policy, in fact, offers a bouquet of fiscal and non-fiscal incentives, ranging from land incentives, capital subsidy, interest subsidy, tax-related incentives, assistance for skill development and research and development, incentive by way of power tariff and electricity duty, among others. Further, industries that form part of the A&D ecosystem, they can also avail incentives under our more than 20 sectoral policies of the state government, ranging from textiles, electronics, garments, IT, and IT-enabled services. Atmanirbhar Gujarat se Atmanirbhar Bharat ki or. Friends, to accelerate the absolute self-reliance objective of India, Gujarat has devised a very robust plan of action in terms of the Atmanirbhar Gujarat schemes. The scheme has increased the scale and scope of assistance, especially for the MSMEs. And now MSMEs can get incentives up to 100% of their investment in the state of Gujarat. The schemes, we believe, would encourage youths to innovate, to become job creators by de-risking their investments, thereby creating large-scale quality job opportunities. The scheme would also encourage industries to adopt greener manufacturing practices, to decarbonize, and thereby play a very crucial role in global supply chains. It will also go on to create enhanced opportunities of development in the new manufacturing sectors like aviation and space-related manufacturing and the ancillary ecosystem in Gujarat. The schemes offer a wide range of incentives, ranging from capital subsidy, interest subsidy, tax-related reimbursement, reimbursement of EPF, electricity duty exemption, apart from others. The Atmanirbhar Gujarat schemes has all kinds of incentives to basically encourage the industries. Having said that, especially for friends who are joining us from other states, I take this opportunity to welcome you to experience our policies, our processes, our people, our places. Welcome to Gujarat. Thank you, friends. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rahul. I'm sure Gujarat is progressing towards a Atmanirbhar Gujarat and a Bharat. Moving on, Dholera Industrial City is India's first greenfield smart city that offers world-class plug-and-play infrastructure, excellent connectivity and investment opportunities in aerospace and defense as one of the focus sectors. We will now see a short film highlighting the features of Dholera Industrial Smart City. Can we please have the video?
When the world is accelerating into an innovation-driven age, when urbanization is moving at the speed of light, when industries are thriving ahead of the curve, the need arises to plan a city of the future, where planning meets opportunity, where happiness index is a benchmark for growth. Dholera, India's own global smart city. What began as a vision is now transforming into a reality. The bold imagination of creating a greenfield industrial city in India has now come alive. Spanned across an area of 920 square kilometers, Dholera is built on the strong foundation of ICT-enabled integrated greenfield smart city. Dholera has a self-sustaining ecosystem of international standards consisting of functional green spaces, residential living, industrial zone, social amenities, physical infrastructure and tourism-centric spots. Strategically located in Gujarat, one of the most progressive states of India, Dholera is situated on the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor and connected to the dedicated freight corridor. Dholera boasts of a 360-degree connectivity through upcoming projects like 4-lane expressway between Ahmedabad and Dholera, MRTS, Bhimnath Dholera Freight Rail Line and Dholera International Airport. SCADA-enabled smart water management system and comprehensive solid waste management system has been set up at Dholera along with storm water management, water treatment plant, common effluent treatment plant and sewage treatment plant, which will ensure availability of potable water and treated water for industries. In order to address the futuristic energy needs of the smart city, a robust network of uninterrupted power supply is taking shape across Dholera, offered at the lowest power tariff in the entire country.
Torrent will contribute to the development of Dholera as a truly world-class city by developing state-of-the-art power infrastructure, which will enable us to provide reliable and safe power at one of the lowest power tariffs in the country.
Along with the provision of natural gas supply, the work for harnessing the renewable sources of energy is going on at a full swing in Dholera. A splendid capacity of 5,000 megawatt solar park has been planned here, out of which 1,000 megawatt is already implemented.
At Dholera Park, where there is a huge industrialization which is being planned, along with a very well-planned solar park, is going to make this whole project a unique, not only in this country, but in the world.
Dholera's focus on establishing its identity as one of the most livable cities in India is reflected in its unique people-centric spaces like canal front, dedicated areas for social infrastructure and sustainable urban transportation. Taking a lead in the same direction, the government of Gujarat has ensured ease of doing business through fast-track governance, single window approvals and time-bound clearances for entire Dholera SIR. Furthering Gujarat's identity of a policy-driven state, the Gujarat Industrial Policy offers significant incentives and various subsidies to MSMEs and service sectors. The Administrative and Business Centre for Dholera, that functions as the nerve centre, is already operational with smart amenities and will soon accommodate state-of-the-art command and control center and skill development center. Land parcels with plug-and-play setup are ready for allotment with required availability of construction power and water. With this readiness of creating opportunities for New India, Dholera will soon be a home to a variety of dynamic industries, from sectors like heavy engineering, automobile and auto ancillary, defense and aerospace, electronics, pharmaceuticals and biotechnology, agro and food processing, and information technology services. With a massive magnitude of developmental work taking shape each day, Dholera is turning into a reality and is now ready to welcome you and your aspirations. Live, work and flourish in Dholera. Dholera, India's own global smart city.
It's quite inspiring looking at how India is progressing towards Atmanirbharta. May I now request Shri Harit Shukla, IAS, Managing Director, Dholera Industry City Development Limited, to present the opportunities in aerospace and defense sector in Dholera Special Investment Region. Sir, please join us. Thank you. With a big round of applause, audience, please let's welcome him.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Through this AV, we have got some idea of what Dholera is about, and I'll not repeat in my presentation what has already been covered in the AV. Through a very brief presentation, I'll try to update what is the current status of Dholera, what are the possibilities and what are the advantages for aerospace and defense sector particularly. As we all know, that Dholera is India's first greenfield industrial smart city of this scale. As we all know, usually what happens is first the cities grow and then we try to come up with the infrastructure. Here, the infrastructure has already been planned, and in roughly 5% of the area, this world-class infrastructure has already been implemented. And just to talk about the scale of Dholera, the total area which we are talking about is roughly 920 square kilometers. To give you a context, Ahmedabad urban area as of today is roughly 464 square kilometers. New York City is 760 square kilometers, and Singapore is also 740 square kilometers. So we are in a process of developing a city which is much bigger in scale than any of the existing cities that I have talked about. It's a very, very ambitious project, no doubt, and for that, a special purpose vehicle have been formed, DICDL. It's a partnership of Government of India and Government of Gujarat. Government of India through NICDC and Government of Gujarat through DSIRDA have formed this company to develop this area of 920 square kilometers, out of which roughly 922 square kilometers is the developable area. And 110 square kilometers of the area is in the industrial area. At the beginning, I would also like to clarify the land rates in this area for industrial plots have already been fixed, and they are 2750 per square meter. This city, Dholera, which we are developing, is not a purely industrial city. It's a high quality smart town which we are developing. It is based on concept of walk to work. It has been designed in such a manner that everybody who works in Dholera would be in walking distance to his workplace. Roughly 40% of the entire area of Dholera has been earmarked for residential and public utilities, and more than 10% of the area would be for recreational and tourism activities. 15% and more area would be green area. So this is a city which has been designed on concept of live, play and work. It is not a purely industrial town. Just to give you an idea of some of the projects which we are developing in and around Dholera, as we all know, the next international airport of Ahmedabad is coming next to Dholera. It's an airport designed for next 30 to 50 years. It will have 2 parallel runways, each having more than 4 kilometers, capable of any kind of landing of any kind of aircraft. The work for this airport has already been awarded and the work has started on ground. I'll in subsequent slides show some of the photographs of this project also. And this Airport Authority of India is our majority stakeholder, majority partner. Second project, Ahmedabad, dedicated Ahmedabad Dholera Expressway, work on that has also started on ground, and we target to complete it by December 23. Solar park, we have got all the clearances for a solar park of 4,400 megawatt in Dholera, and out of which 300 megawatt has already been commissioned in Dholera. The unique feature of doing manufacturing in Dholera would be, if you produce in Dholera, you can power it through green energy, which is an added advantage. Besides airport connectivity and expressway connectivity, we are also connecting Dholera through railway to Western Freight Corridor. Next year, roughly by March, we'll be able to float a tender connecting Dholera to Bhimnath and through that to Western dedicated freight corridor. So Dholera will boast of airport connectivity, highway connectivity and rail connectivity. We are also in process of developing a logistic park and a multimodal logistic hub. Talking specifically of what are the advantages, why should Dholera be a preferred destination for aerospace and defense? As I said, these are the particular type of industries which require certain kind of infrastructure for their development and growth. We have an airport facility and we have identified land next to that airport facility which would be very suitable for aerospace and related industries. Dholera has added advantages of having very large plots. So plots ranging from 1 acre to say 300 acres with all the plug and play infrastructure are available in Dholera. And I believe that for defense and aerospace kind of industries, you always require those size of plots. That is another advantage. Third thing which we are really proud of is plug and play infrastructure in Dholera. So every plot in Dholera is serviced by all the world-class infrastructure. I'll also show a slide of how every plot will have what kind of connectivity. Then there is a multimodal connectivity through road, air, ports, and of course it is ably supported by all the policies of Government of Gujarat and Government of India. Just to give you a brief about the airport, this airport we have got all the clearances, all approvals are in place. Work order has been given in July 22 and we hope to complete, make it operational by 25-26. To give you some photographs of this is the work which is going on the Dholera International Airport site right now. And the approach road is being widened, the Garland Canal has already been made, and the site work on the runway and the boundary and the land enhancement is already on ground. We hope to complete it by 25. For the defense purpose specifically, if we look at the site of Dholera, we have identified 3 zones which in our opinion are very, very suitable for aerospace and defense and drone ecosystem. First purple color site which you see on the top is just next to the next upcoming Dholera International Airport. And here we have 75 hectares of land available for aerospace and MRO facilities. Another cluster which we have identified is just next to the rail line of Bhimnath Dholera. Here we have 100 hectares of land identified for defense cluster or development with support of logistics sector. We have already also identified a zone, a multi-purpose site which is suitable for any kind of drone testing or space related activities or even field firing range. So these are the 3 specific sites which have been identified and Dholera we are ready to offer to any manufacturers at present. This is just to give you an idea of the detailed planning which has already been done for 100 hectares of land which is just next to the rail line, and we would be ready with all kind of infrastructure facilities in this area. In total in Dholera we have more than 2,600 acres of land available with us, out of which roughly 1,500 acres is industrial and rest is residential, recreational, tourism related. This is what we are really, really proud of, that in Dholera what we have created is a plug and play infrastructure which is available at every plot. So at every plot you will get gas connection, ICT connection, power connection, potable water, recycle water, wastewater connection, stormwater drainage, and all this infrastructure has been benchmarked against the best in the world. So when the infrastructure of Dholera was being planned, the road infrastructure has been benchmarked to London, New York, Singapore. The water system has been benchmarked to California, Singapore. Power and ICT infrastructure has been benchmarked to Singapore, Canada, and Denmark. So we have tried to learn from the best in the world, and then we have tried to create an infrastructure which is of that standard. One of the biggest advantage of producing in Dholera is the reliable supply of power. We all know that in Dholera, besides UGVCL, Torrent Power also is the distribution company. But the biggest advantage is that Dholera tariff structure, an investor can save roughly 38% on the electricity charges. Besides the reliability, that is another very big important factor for consideration, and the added advantage of having a very big solar park in Dholera. As of now, we have land and all the clearances for more than 4,400 megawatt of solar park, out of which 300 megawatt has already been started. This is the first phase of our solar park. In future, there is a scope of expansion to a second solar park also. These are the realistic photographs of the site of our road and service infrastructure, which has been created on site in Dholera, water treatment plant, sewerage treatment plant, common effluent treatment plant, and all these infrastructure related projects are modular in approach. So the initial capacity may be 10 MLD, 20 MLD or 30 MLD, but as and when this will be utilized, we have scope, land, design, capability of upgrading this infrastructure immediately as per the requirement. Second big advantage which we are So, other big advantage of Dholera is related to connectivity. The proposed new international airport is just next to Dholera. Bhavnagar rail link is also very near to Dholera. As of now, the existing port infrastructure, Pipavav is 200 kilometers, Kandla is 300 kilometers, but recently, Honorable Prime Minister has also initiated a project in Bhavnagar port. So that is the next port which is coming very near to Dholera. These are some of the photographs of the expressway which is being built from Ahmedabad to Dholera. This is a totally greenfield new alignment which will connect Ahmedabad to Dholera. So your travel time from Ahmedabad to Dholera would be not more than 60 minutes, which is roughly the time which you will take from reaching from the western part of Ahmedabad to the airport probably. These are pictures from the ground, and we hope to complete this project by end of 23. As I said, these are infrastructure, connectivity, and related to semiconductors. As of now, we have allotted projects for Tata Chemical, we have allotted land for Renew Power, Torrent Power, and HP. Besides that, Dholera is in contention for many of the big and mega projects which will be, I hope, will be announced very soon. Dholera is a IGBC platinum rated city. We have won many awards. I take this opportunity to invite all of you to visit Dholera and see for yourself. Presentation and AV are definitely there to convince you, but I would really like to welcome all of you to Dholera and see for yourself and take a decision about Dholera. And in case you are not able to visit Dholera, we have created a beautiful stall in Defense Expo where you can get an immersive experience of Dholera. So if you cannot travel to Dholera, you can visit to our stall, and there you can have a virtual tour of Dholera. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Looking at such a beautiful smart city, I am so inspired to go and invest right away. I'm sure everybody here is. Thank you for your presentation, sir. To move on, Gujarat is known for its investor-friendly approach, proactive policy making, transparent and accountable governance. Let us now invite some of the industry leaders to share their experience of doing business in Gujarat. I would like to invite Mr. J.D. Patil, Advisor to CEO and MD for Defense and Smart World, Whole-Time Director, L&T, to talk upon their experience and perspective of defense manufacturing in Gujarat. With a big round of applause, let's welcome him. Thank you.
Thank you. Shri Rajkumar, colleagues on the dais, I have known Mr. Rajkumar more as a defense production secretary in Delhi. Far more interaction there than in this state. Of course, we keep meeting here as well. I can say that Larsen Toubro's history has enormous amount of entanglements with this state, and I can go precisely 80 years back, rather 82 years back. An L&T which started in 1938, the World War came in and the founders couldn't go back. Also, all the Germans and Italians were persona non grata. A first mega program that Larsen Toubro did in this very state was Tata Mithapur. Completion of Tata Mithapur to create what Tata has built in terms of soda ash and subsequently so much about it was our first, in that sense, an EPC where somebody else had bought all the equipment, and then of course the ones who were bringing technology were persona non grata behind bars, and then the project was there without anybody to look after. So for us, Gujarat is virtually a second home. Although we are founded in Bombay, for us, coming to Gujarat is literally coming to home. I can say that as a result, this company has enormous amount of investments, and not just a matter of investment in this state. There's a huge amount of partnership which we enjoy in this place. Biggest of the icons that you see, global icons, which obviously are there in this state, is something that as L&T we built. I just want to talk some of them, or mention some of them. It's a matter of pride for me to walk right in this DIFEXPO and see the Statue of Unity everywhere. The Statue of Unity is an enormous example of collaboration between the state and Larsen Toubro. It was created as the icon, the vision of the Prime Minister, but we helped create that vision on ground in a record time. The technology that went in behind, if I just tell you, I'll keep talking for half an hour, because every piece, every square meter of this statue is unique. You can't take pieces and put them somewhere else. So there's each piece has an identifiable drawing in 3D, an identifiable part number, and it must go and fit precisely at that place. Imagine a complexity of a statue of this size, how to build it, do it right every time, first time, more than tens of thousands of square meters of whatever you see in the form of the statue. So huge amount of work that happened, and it all happened because there was a state who was a customer, but state also as a partner. Dholera, of course, we talked of the infrastructure, and we had an amazing lecture on the infrastructure that has been built. I've been interested to do a lot at Dholera. Long years back, the Narmada Bridge that we keep talking about, the Narmada Bridge is Larsen Toubro's creation. The world's largest stadium that exists right in this city, 110, 115,000 people can sit. We all have seen Motera. If not physically, just 20-25 minutes of drive from here, one can see that Mahatma Mandir, where we are seated. That's Larsen Toubro. So one has seen that this state actually has done enormous amount of developments, and been a proud partner. We call ourselves the builders of modern India, and been the contractors to be able to build some of those kind of icons here. We build the nuclear power plants here. We build the varieties of power plants, refineries, cement plants, chemical plants. The hundreds and hundreds of mega investment which has happened here. I remember a time when the Surat Hazira belt, where Larsen Toubro has one of its largest investments, actually had more than 1.5 lakh crore of investment in just about 12 kilometers of road. This is something which the state possibly has done out of grand vision, and that's essentially where it's interesting for some of us to keep coming. We have a mega presence. We have 2 very major factories. We used to run 3 major defense units here. Today we run 2, For varieties of reasons, one, we had to move, more because we didn't have enough space to grow. We actually have something called as a knowledge city, and more than about 12,000 engineers we employ, and we call it a knowledge city. Anything in hydrocarbon, anything in power, anything in the absolute state-of-the-art engineering that you can do in anywhere in the world, it happens right in the city of Baroda. And that's a mega investment which Larsen & Toubro has made in this state. And I must tell you the amount of support that the state provided to create something of that kind. There was nowhere in the world something called knowledge city. A knowledge city as a concept came into existence in this state, talked about, conceptualized, clearances given, and the work began. And our promise was what a normal engineer in this state would aspire to go out will create opportunities that he stays here. And that's exactly the state-of-the-art engineering complexes that we have built here actually are testimony to that. Coming to Hazira, it's a 760-acre manufacturing complex. You built 94% of a power plant in-house at one single place. From a scrap steel, you either build a nuclear submarine hull or a complete turbine or a boiler or for that matter a ship. So whether we talk of a space vehicle to anything else in terms of engineering that we are known of happens at one single complex is the world's largest single location manufacturing complex that exists. And let me tell you, about 60 to 70% of what we do in heavy engineering there is exports. We don't sell it only in India. We are the world's number one, although within the number 3 who qualify, the number 1 heavy engineering manufacturer, all out of the skills. And that's the point I'm coming to. This is a state which is amazingly gifted, and I keep telling this to people when I meet in Gandhinagar. This state is absolutely gifted with skills. To use that skill for the purpose of going global, if you have a great idea, you have a great skill pool which one can actually utilize and harness. We actually have seen in Hazira, as a result, enormous amount of work that we do in the industrial side, and that's the reason we at some point in time, close to I would say 30 years back, decided to make it home for one of the largest of our defense investment. And second major defense investment we made was just about 6 years back, and that was for building the battle tanks right here. It's a single factory we created. You take a steel plate from one end of the manufacturing shops, and the second of the end of the manufacturing shop, you have a battle tank rolling out. The entire supply chain, which is typically about 1,200 suppliers, partners who build small parts, and those parts actually come in. Of that, I can say that about 25% of that, directly for that one single project, comes in from this state. Otherwise, if I look at it, in terms of ecosystem creation, when we talk of MSME, there's a huge amount of ecosystem that exists in this place. We have about 1,100 small industries that works for Larsen & Toubro here. So when we talk of big numbers in terms of exports and making battle tanks here or the nuclear submarine hulls here, it's essentially because of two things: the skill, the feeder industry. Without these, you can bring in the money, you can bring in anything else, you won't be able to do much. And that's where we see the state comes forward, provides, besides just the first time kind of incentives, far more in terms of willingness. I can tell you we operate in multiple states. Let me not name the states. L&T Defense alone today runs 7 factories. 2 of them, as I said, are here. But there's no other state where we can sleep peacefully, because nobody in the state, whether politician or anybody, who will come and knock at your door for things which you can't do. Now, to my mind, the biggest reason to be in Gujarat, and I'm saying it in presence of uh, the administrators, the biggest reason to come in here is the peace at which you can run your business. You run your business, rest, somebody else takes care. I think that's one aspect, because money you can bring in, land will be provided, infrastructure would be provided. But if you have a worry that every day somebody knocks at your door, puts a red flag, puts varieties of those kind of things, that's a no-no in this state. It doesn't happen. In the same breath, as a result, the state knows what it is providing and values it. You will not get too many subsidies. You will not get incentives beyond a point, but I think it's a part of the game. You get one thing, you don't get the other part of it. Only one aspect I must say, while there are enormous good reasons to come here, there's something always can be improved upon. And I had a meeting about it and I said, the defense policy of Gujarat is 2016. It's 6 years. It's time to take a relook at it. Time to actually look at harnessing. When 2016 we talked about it, it was Make in India. Today we talk of Atmanirbhar Bharat. We moved on. The next phase is make for India, make for the world. Make for India, make for the world when we talk, we certainly need different level of thinking. And if not Gujarat, वो कहते हैं ना कि family में एक दूसरे से नहीं मांगे तो किससे मांगे, दूसरे किससे मांगेंगे, तो हमारा हक बनता है कुछ मांगना. And I think that's exactly what I've been saying. Time to rethink one of your major incentive, which does not actually work, because I know what I'm speaking. Central government provides you all taxes and duties when you do defense goods. If you're a direct seller to Government of India, or even the ecosystem, selling to Larsen Toubro, you operate, I provide you the benefits. Because the central government reimburses, there's no incentive possible. So this is the biggest of the incentive which needs to be rethought in form of various other ways it can actually be done. I can tell you, this is that icing on the cake, or called the cherry, and that cherry possibly can make this state better than any other place. Coming from someone who runs 7 factories, I think that's the best of what one can get anywhere, perfectly fitting in terms of infrastructure, in terms of outlook, in terms of vision, what the state has done. And I think that's exactly what possibly we need to look at. Those who really are looking at where to invest, what to do, I think we are someone who is invested here, as I said, in terms of work for 80 years, physical factories existing for precisely 47 years now. So there's somebody you can trust when I say something, but at the same time, there's something more which we deserve from the state. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. J.D. Patil. It was quite insightful talk. Thank you, sir. Moving on, I would like to request Shri Hari Kumar, our General Manager, Technology Planning, BEL. Sir, could you please join us on the stage? He's representing Shri Dinesh Kumar Batra.
Good afternoon, everyone. Like L&T brought out, L&T has a huge, long history of running plants in Gujarat. We at Bharat Electronics do not have that, although we worked with a lot of firms in Gujarat. So we would be speaking from the other end of the spectrum as a possible collaborator with Gujarat. So, but we have seen few very strong positive points about Gujarat. One is, like Sir brought out, the knowledge infrastructure, the know-how, the skills, that's very, very high. And we, as an engineer, I have worked initially with SAC Ahmedabad, and from that time, we've been in awe of the skills that for space level technology itself that was available in Gujarat. So that skill we are still seeing, and the entrepreneurship, which is sort of native to Gujarat is very, very positive. And the Gujarat government's now the scheme to encourage MSMEs, because that's a very key, whether it's automobile industry or defense industry, the ancillary industries are very, very key. No big firm can survive on its own. It needs the full ecosystem to develop. And the policies which have been laid out are very, very encouraging, because if an MSME is allowed to thrive initially, because that setting up and getting the quality right and certifications right is, at that time they need the support. Later, if you don't give all, the big firms are asking for more money, but that's a different part. But the smaller firms need it, especially at the beginning. Otherwise, they won't be able to face up, especially defense and space. They are very punishing technology areas where the failure is hardly allowed. So the qualification levels, the quality levels are very, very high. And if we do not support them, that's very difficult. For example, at BEL, Bharat Electronics, from our supply, what we take from India, more than 33% of our supplies are from MSME vendors. So that, if Gujarat were encouraging like to this level of 100% subsidy to of their investment initially, that would give the MSMEs of Gujarat a very strong edge over the other MSMEs in any other part of the country. So, and then Tholera coming up is a big plus, because then there would be real technology and investment coming into that, with connectivity to ports as well as to the airport that is at Ahmedabad, and their own airport also. So it will be a real plus. So we see a lot of positives. And the other is where the semiconductor industries, because this is one very weak area of in India. If you, whatever, because the strength or the push that government is giving towards Atmanirbharta, despite all that, the weakest link we have is our semiconductors. We hardly have any manufacturing in India. BL used to be manufacturing semiconductors at germanium and silicon earlier, but hardly we have anything now. All over India, hardly any manufacturing, other than GATEC in Hyderabad, very limited manufacturing. So this is a very strong area where Tholera, with the sort of space available and the support that the government is willing to give, because cities cannot afford that. Any big cities in the south is already heavily populated. So this is a big area where industry can chip in, government plus industry. It cannot be industry alone. And semiconductors, if it can start, it will be a big plus, because our dependence right now is across the world, especially China, Taiwan, Korea, US to some extent. So whatever we indigenize, all the semiconductors, hardly anything is made in India, designed in India, but not made in India. So that is a very strong area where I would urge entrepreneurs plus the government to.
I would like to welcome Shri Jagdish Vishwakarma, Honorable Minister of State for Industries, Government of Gujarat. Request you to please kindly put up a big round of applause for him. Thank you, sir. Sir, I would like to request you to please continue.
So, as I was saying, semiconductor industry is one big area where if investments with government support can come in, it will make a big difference to what, not only for the defense and aerospace industry, most of our automobiles now, the cars and all are practically run by tens of chips, which run on the minimum, many integrated chips run so it's very, very critical for the automobile industry, as well as for the entertainment, the communication industry, and the defense and aerospace industry. Because defense and aerospace is a much smaller portion of the pie. The much larger portion is out there. Probably 80% is out there. So what we would, we would just leverage on this knowledge bank that is available, the incentives, especially in the smaller sector, the MSME sector which is available, and we see a lot of scope for us to work with the Gujarat-based firms, and maybe even, who knows, going ahead, start some activity in Gujarat itself. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harikumar. Now, I will invite Mr. William Blair, CEO India from Lockheed Martin, to discuss on the collaborative opportunities in aerospace and UAV sector from the international perspective. Can we please have a big round of applause? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here, the invitation, and I'd like to recognize the Honorable Minister of State for Industries, Vishwakarma, and then also, of course, I also have a relationship with the additional Chief Secretary, Raj Kumar, and working together and supporting the evolution of the defense policy, the defense acquisition procedure. I really appreciate that opportunity. Just to introduce myself, my name is William Blair. I head up Lockheed Martin India here, but I'm not new to India. I came to India in 1996 with GE, actually as part of a leadership development program. I met my now wife, who's from Rajasthan, before I came, when I was in Cincinnati. So we've been coming back. I spent probably 10 or 11 years of the last 25, 26 years here. And so I'm speaking from the heart, and I'm speaking from my experience. And maybe I'll sum it up from what I heard so far from the eminent speakers that preceded me and the incredible foundation that J.D. Patel outlined that L&T has established. I think there's a tremendous opportunity for Gujarat to leapfrog in terms of technology. I think Dholera City is a great example of having a vision and creating a smart city and enabling it to actually exceed what is the state of the art. And that, I think, is where the opportunity is. I do represent an aerospace and defense company, but I'm going to talk to you about those opportunities based on what we've experienced so far in India and where I see the opportunities going forward. First, the topic is collaborative opportunities. As an OEM from the U.S., we see our future in India, for India, and for the world. And actually, when we've been successful, we found companies, large scale as well as MSMEs, and found those opportunities to integrate them into our global supply chain. And by integrating them into our global supply chain, there's an immediate engagement, transfer of technology, and scale of opportunities and orders that's allowed us to then position for the requirements here to meet from the Ministry of Defense and from the services. So we look at it somewhat in the inverse, and that is, how can we make in India for the world so that we can then make in India for India's requirements? And that allows us to, through our joint ventures and through our global supply chain, to be, I think, a catalyst for the aerospace and defense ecosystem, of which the MSMEs are at the heart. And I think the startups now are even a great accelerator for us in terms of the technology evolution and innovation. India is clearly one of the largest ecosystem for startups. It's the innovation, it's now the investment, the financial capital, and it's the requirements. And I would say the rapid adaptation and induction. And I think Gujarat's a shining example of that. I also meant to say up front, I have to say that this DEF Expo is the most defense expo I've ever been at. And I want to applaud the hosting here in Gandhinagar and Ahmedabad. My first DEF Expo, I think, was maybe in 1996, but for sure I remember 2006. And it's absolutely remarkable where we've come in terms of the capability, the innovation, and the connectivity to meet India's requirements, and yes, absolutely grow our exports together. So again, as a company in aerospace and defense, we're seeking to find those partners here in India, again, tie into our global supply chain, be in a position to achieve the target of 50% indigenous content that was rolled out in the defense acquisition procedure. And the way to do that is to not just see what we produce as a platform integrator. When we build an aircraft, we probably build something less than 20% of the content. We need to integrate our tier ones, so GE aircraft engines, the Honeywell, the other systems, and we're bringing our tier ones here, and we're saying, for us to be successful in India, you need to partner in India as well. And so it's at the platform, it's at the system level, and that's how we're on a path towards 50% indigenous content. And we're going to do that with companies here in Gujarat, here across India, to be successful. But it's not just about delivering a platform and delivering world-class capability and yes, exporting that capability from India to like-minded nations. It's how do we support and sustain that here in India? We support 12 C-130Js that were inducted into the Indian Air Force, and we're looking for places and partners where we can establish a maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility to support those aircraft, not just to support the current 12 aircraft and the potential for future C-130Js to meet the Indian Air Force multi-mission requirement, but there's only 2 places in the world where you can service a C-130J. We have a tremendous opportunity to create a hub and attract the opportunity to meet India's requirements, but also to meet the regional requirements with over 100 C-130Js that operate in the region. And so that's a tremendous growth opportunity. And for maintenance, repair, and overhaul, you hear a lot about MRO. It's really critically important to get scale, to make the business case close. And to do that, I think working with nations in the region and really globally is going to give us that opportunity. Lockheed Martin is a defense company. You probably don't think of us as an energy company, but we have a unique energy solution for energy storage for renewable energy. So it was great to see the presentation and the commitment to over 300 megawatts of solar renewable energy. But you need to be able to store that for 10 to 12 hours when the sun's not shining or the wind's not blowing. And we've got a solution that we developed, which is a large-scale flow battery, and we're trying to find a way. We already have a supplier that's providing some of the energy, the solution, the Negalite we call it. It's a negative positive ion large-scale flow battery. We need to find a way to adapt that technology with partners in India. It could be a partner in Gujarat to bring that to a large scale, meet a 50 hertz requirement. It's a grid-level energy storage that we've developed, but we want to find a way to take it into a large-scale production. Space domain, and maybe more than space domain. When we think about new and emerging technologies, and my original comment about leapfrogging and leveraging the innovation we have here in Gujarat, that we have here in India, I think of 5G, artificial intelligence, machine learning, quantum computing, space, and cyber. And so there's a lot of initiatives that are being worked at a multilateral level, but it really comes down to developing those capabilities, having industries working together. So you hear of that initiative across the Quad. It's really more about how are the startups, MSMEs, and large companies going to underpin that with capabilities. And I think that's a tremendous opportunity for us. Space domain, we see the space domain opening up now with ISRO engaging the private sector. When we think of space domain, we're thinking of rapid, flexible, on-demand launch capability. I was at a seminar in space, and it opened my eyes to the true potential in space. We know satellites, we know communication, we know space exploration. What was really innovative is how do you use space in zero gravity for unique production applications, pharmaceuticals, special materials. They're starting to explore those opportunities to engage in launching capability where you do some of that production in space and then it returns to Earth. And so that's a tremendous opportunity, I think, for us here in India, and it can be part of our self-reliance. And then lastly, I'll close with probably one of the biggest opportunities, and that is in the semiconductor space. It was mentioned earlier by one of my colleagues here on the dais. One thing that everyone agrees on as we've gone through the COVID situation is supply chain resilience is absolutely critical, and now more than ever. In the semiconductor space, I think that's a tremendous opportunity for collaboration. and to attract those companies from Taiwan and South Korea to transition their production to India. We are dependent on those solutions in terms of how we source that capability. And it's eye-opening that over 90% of the requirements are in the commercial space. So as a defense company, we're relying on the commercial companies to develop and innovate and accelerate the capability and the production in the commercial space, and then transition that into defense, whether it's 5G, AI, semiconductors. All of that really is happening in the commercial domain. And finding that civil defense convergence, I think, is critically important. So I'll just close with, I believe our opportunities are tremendous together. We see our future in doing business in India, working through Indian partners, establishing a local presence, establishing local entities, and continuing to engage the MSMEs and the startups and the large companies here in India to be successful, to meet India's requirements, but yes, absolutely grow our exports to the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. That was such an insightful talk. I would like to move on and invite Shri Raj Kumar, IAS Additional Chief Secretary, Home and Industries and Mines Department, Government of Gujarat, to deliver the special speech. With a big round of applause, please let's welcome him. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister of State for Industries and Road and Building, Honorable Jagdish Vishwakarma ji, my co-panelists, starting with Mr. William Blair, Mr. Hari Kumar from BEL, Mr. Harit Shukla, then Dr. Rahul Gupta and Shri J.D. Patil. So life has come full circle. I went from here and worked with the Ministry of Defense and came back. And something, this DEF Expo was planned and was to be executed. Then I came back to Gujarat, and I'm happy that now I am executing it as one of the hosts. So it's a pleasure. So we have received the perspective from a very successful Indian industry, Mr. Patil, and in the form of anecdotes. So that made the talk extremely interesting. And I should say that he has been one of the vanguard of Indian defense industry from the private sector, taking the torch of self-reliance forward. Very, very, enthusiastically and committed person that Mr. Patil is. Mr. William Blair, he told us about, his association with the country since 90s. And of course, it's better off is also from India, so we can say that he is one of us, Yes, he is one of. But I should say, the time that I spent in Ministry of Defense was so interesting, So I'll also stick to the same anecdotal way of conveying my ideas to you. So I should say, Atmanirbharta and defense, that was something, which immediately after the start of this pandemic COVID-19, in 2020, early 2020, in one of the presentation to Honorable Prime Minister, we came up with this proposal to him, and he immediately accepted it. And what followed was, of course, that how we can reduce our dependence on imports, how we can strengthen our domestic manufacturing capabilities. And remember defense is so different from commercial manufacturing. In case of commercial manufacturing, every single customer is either from the society, maybe defense, maybe non-defense, export. But defense items, there are restrictions on production, there are restrictions on usage, and there are restrictions on export as well as import. So such a restricted sector it is. So one must be wondering, that why defense is cannot be equated with normal industrial setup, because here the customer is only one, and that is the state. So this is a limiting factor. So this self-reliance in defense, the story, moving forward was that we have to give firm commitment to our industry if they have to be attracted to make investment. if they are attracted to make investment not only in production but also in R&D. So the commitment of the state can come not from producers, it has to come from the procurers. Who are the procurers? So logically, we went step by step and realized that it is the services, the army, the air force, the navy, who procure 150,000 crore rupees of equipments, ammunition, and so on and so forth every single year. So if I have to say something like this, $20 billion, it's not a small sum. So out of that $20 billion, the story was that almost 55–60% we were importing, 40% was domestic, but in that 40% also there was something, it was not 100% indigenous. So actually our industries were simply assured of something of 25–30% of indigenous content, to be very honest. Then how do we promote our industry? Our industry needs firm orders. Now, we have our own indigenous industry coming up with some product. So the question would be asked whether it has been tested, certified as per the global standards. Now you tell me something which has not been put to use in our own country. How can you expect indigenous product to match that standard? So we have to provide level playing field. If we want our industry to invest in R&D, and if we don't assure them of orders, then how do they make good of their investment in R&D? So we have to support in R&D. Unfortunately, historically, our entire R&D investment was going, government's investment was routed through DRDO. But if private sector wants to invest money in R&D, how do they make good? So these were some of the questions, which collectively we sat down with all doyens of Indian defense industry. And at that time, Mr. Raman Puri, Rear Admiral, sir, he is one of the staunch, supporter and votary of indigenization, Atmanirbharta. So we sat down, reworked our policies, and as a result, now when we talk about Atmanirbharta or self-reliance in defense, it looks more credible. When we say 60% of our budget for capital procurement will be spent for indigenous items, it makes more sense. What Honorable Prime Minister spoke today morning. So it is with that confidence that now I will speak, what we can do in Gujarat. So historically, if you see Indian defense industry, whether in private sector, with the exception of course, L&T, is generally, sir, in these states other than Gujarat, whether it is DRDO's R&D research and development labs, or ordnance factory boards factories, historically, which were set up long time back by Britishers as our colonial masters, or the defense public sector undertakings, which, Mr. Hari Kumar straight away admitted that there is no presence of BEL in Gujarat. So Gujarat in that sense, has no presence of a large defense ecosystem. But I should say that Gujarat is unique in certain ways. And the uniqueness comes from the fact that people are extremely enterprising. They are willing to take risk. And also we are extremely supportive government. We are willing to reduce their risk, de-risk their investment as far as possible. So I have taken the suggestion of Mr. J.D. Patil with a pinch of salt, but we'll look into it seriously. So one is entrepreneurship, second is very supportive, stable government. As was mentioned in the presentations of my colleagues, we are policy-driven state. So that is what makes us more comfortable. and rightly pointed out by you, we offer, something which others may not be so easily able to offer. The stability, assurance, certainty of something. So we believe in what we say, we should deliver. That is what is our motto. We can make promises, but if I can't fulfill those promises, then it is not even worth it. So that is our USP. And what you see, he rightly said, in 20 years, Gujarat's transformational journey has been actually the journey of a visionary leader who is our Honorable Prime Minister. The place where we sit, or the Statue of Unity that you talk, or all kinds of big infrastructure projects that are coming up, big tourist places which are coming up. In fact, renaissance of our own ancient cultural roots. You won't believe, yesterday he was speaking about Lothal. Lothal is part of Harappa civilization, 3,000 to 4,000 years old, very close to the place Dholera. So we have so many things, as part of his vision, it is not only about Atmanirbharta, it is Atma Gaurav. That is the message which Honorable Prime Minister has given us. And just to add, I don't know, I read it in WhatsApp University. US President, by one single order, has adversely affected the Chinese semiconductor industry. That is what the university says. He has said that every single American who is working for Chinese semiconductor industry has to take a call whether he can continue working over there or he can give up his American citizenship. Even green card. So this is what is the sensitivity or the criticality of what we are talking about when we say semiconductor. And also as an anecdote, I should say, when Vedanta Foxconn decided to choose Dholera in Gujarat as investment destination, it didn't take very long for them. Because of Dholera, what Mr. Shukla was talking about, whatever they asked, 500 acres of land, 100 MLD of water, so many megawatt of electricity, connectivity, airport, you name the facility, it is either there or the work is in progress. So that is the USP of Gujarat. So when we say come and invest in Gujarat, we mean to say that what you ask for will already be there at that place so that you can immediately start investing, complete your investment, go into production without further wait. So the story of semiconductor is they chose Dholera as their investment destination. Based on Government of Gujarat's policy, Government of India's policy, now the opportunity has come for defense industry for achieving Atmanirbharta in semiconductor space. And I am sure then what Bharat Electronics is doing, what our space industry is doing, we will be truly self-reliant in semiconductor. Another area which is of great interest, in fact, I was part of that TIDEX journey, in the Ministry of Defense. And today, Honorable Prime Minister launched a similar program for space. So that is where, again, Gujarat offers something very unique. We have been aggressively promoting startups, not at the scale of IDEX. IDEX is, very unique to Ministry of Defense. But what is good about Gujarat is we have set up 1,000 crore rupees Young Entrepreneurship Venture Capital Fund promoted by the state government to provide funding support to such startups. I remember in MOD when we used to hear this, that why MOD can't set up a venture capital fund. But I should tell you that venture capital fund is already in place. All startups who are successful under IDEX or otherwise, if they have firm orders from Ministry of Defense, that means if they are assured of visibility of their business, then this is the right place where they can come, invest, get the venture capital funding, and go ahead with their business. Finally, what Mr. William Blair was mentioning, that we have to make our MSMEs as part of global supply chain. So co-development, co-production, and that is where investors who are in the defense space should look at, and our MSMEs also should look at, being part of that global supply chain, so that we not only, produce for India, make for the world, that is the vision that we can quickly realize. Space is something which is the new domain, and I should tell you, in Dholera, we have kept provision for space industry to come and grow over there. So these are some of the highlights of Gujarat, some of the unique strengths of Gujarat, and I am sure that the defense industry will make Gujarat as one more home in the country, that is our country, Bharat. With these words, thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you, Rajkumar ji. Without waiting any further, I would now request the chair of the seminar, Shri Jagdish Vishwakarma ji, Honorable Minister of State for Industries, Government of Gujarat, to deliver his special address. With a big round of applause, please let's welcome him.
Good evening, friends. मेरे साथ मंच पर उपस्थित ACS Rajkumar ji Industries and other dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. आज काफी स्पेशल डे है गुजरात के लिए, भारत के लिए भी. आप सबको देख के यहाँ मुझे काफी खुशी हो रही है. सुबह जो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने डेफ्स का इनॉग्रेशन किया है, ऐसा कहा जाए कि 100% इंडिजिनियस डेफेक्शो है. जितनी भी पार्टिसिपेट हुए हैं, जितनी भी कंपनीज, वो सारे के सारी इंडियन मैन्युफैक्चरर्स है. हमारे लिए सबसे गर्व और खुशी की बात है. काफी डिटेल से डिस्कस हुआ यहाँ पे. वो डिस्कशन को मैं दोहराना नहीं चाहता हूं, मगर इतना जरूर कहूंगा कि आजादी के 75 साल के बाद जो डिफेंस एक्सपो पहले भी होते थे और आज में डिफरेंट क्या है, व्हाट इज द डिफरेंट? डिफेंस जो पॉलिसी थी, जब पीएम साहब ने भारत की धुरा संभाली, उससे पहले जितनी भी वर्ल्ड लार्जेस्ट कंपनियां थी, टॉप 5 कंपनियां, 5 कंट्रीज का नाम कहा जाए, यूएस हो, रशिया हो, यूके हो, जितनी भी बड़ी लार्जेस्ट कंट्रीज है या लार्जेस्ट कंपनियां थी जहां की, इंडिया के अंदर काफी बड़ा ह्यूज मार्केट था और दे आर एंजॉयिंग दिस मार्केट लास्ट 75 इयर्स. हमारी जो डिफेंस पॉलिसी थी, वो आज तक उस पर किसी ने फोकस नहीं किया कि हमें डिफेंस पॉलिसी में चेंज करना चाहिए. जो भी पॉलिसी बनती थी, जितने भी हमारे डिफेंस के अधिकारी थे, उसके सामने एक पिक्चर रखा जाता था कि अगर आपको मार्केट में आपको किसी के पास फाइट करना है तो इंडिया के इक्विपमेंट चलेंगे नहीं. आपको वर्ल्ड के लार्जेस्ट जो मैन्युफैक्चरर है वही इक्विपमेंट लेको आपको किसी से फाइट करनी पड़ेगी. ऐसा एक पिक्चर पूरा बना हुआ था. और जितनी भी हमारे पास जितने भी इक्विपमेंट आज तक थे, वो सारे डिफेंस के इक्विपमेंट हमने इंपोर्ट किए हुए थे. और हमारे इंडिया के इक्विपमेंट जितने भी बन रहे थे, वो इतने कॉम्पिटेंट नहीं थे कि अदर कंट्रीज के सामने हम लोग टिक पाए. मोदी जी ने उस चीज पर फोकस किया और धीरे धीरे बदलाव लाने की शुरुआत की। सबसे पहले यहां काफी लोग इंडस्ट्रीज से भी जुड़े हुए हैं, उन सबको पता होगा कि अगर हम लोग हमारी इंडस्ट्रीज के अंदर जो भी मशीनरी परचेज करते थे यूरोप से, लेजर मशीन हो, सीएनसी मशीन हो, लेजर कट हो, कुछ भी मशीन, 5 एक्सिस मशीन हो, 6 एक्सिस, 8 एक्सिस, तो मशीन जैसे ही परचेज करते थे हमारा एक एग्रीमेंट होता था कि आप डिफेंस की कोई भी पार्ट अब मैन्युफैक्चर नहीं कर पाओगे इंडिया के अंदर विदाउट आवर परमिशंस। काफी हर्डल्स था। अगर इंडिया के अंदर कोई भी मैन्युफैक्चर डिफेंस के लिए सोचता तो इंडिया के अंदर मार्केट तो था नहीं, तो कैसे सोचेगा कि मैं इंडिया के अंदर मेरे पास मार्केट ही नहीं है तो मैं मेरी प्रोडक्ट बना के करूंगा क्या, और मेरी प्रोडक्ट ना तो एक्सपोर्ट होगी या ना तो इंडिया के अंदर यूज होगी। आज बड़ी खुशी हो रही है कि देश के यशस्वी वडाप्रधान ने कम से कम 411 प्रोडक्ट इतनी ऐसी है कि जो 100% हमें इंडिया की यूज करनी है और हमें इंपोर्ट करनी नहीं है। सबसे पहला काम उन्होंने ये किया। दूसरी एक चीज, इंडिया के इंडियन जितने भी मैन्युफैक्चरर्स यहां हैं, जितने भी स्टार्टअप्स है, दूसरी एक चीज की, आज तक जितने भी फाइटर्स, जेट फाइटर्स जो भी हम लेकर आते थे उसके स्पेयर पार्ट्स जो थे वो स्पेयर पार्ट भी हमें वहीं से इंपोर्ट करने पड़ते थे। वो स्पेयर पार्ट भी हम यहाँ पे इंडिजीनियस उसको फिट नहीं कर पाते थे और ना ही उसको अप्लाई कर पाते थे। जब हमारा एग्रीमेंट होता था तब वो एग्रीमेंट के अंदर ही वो लिखा हुआ होता था कि आपको हमारे वहां से ही सारे स्पेयर पार्ट परचेज करने होते हैं। अगर एक छोटा सा स्क्रू, छोटा सा नट या बोल्ट भी अगर डैमेज हो जाए तो हमें वो इंपोर्ट करना पड़ता था। और जब यहां पर कुछ क्राइसिस खड़ी होती है तब वो लोग जानबूझकर उस स्पेयर पार्ट को डिले कर देते थे। अदरवाइज उसकी प्राइस जो थी वो प्राइस भी बढ़ा देते थे। तो हमारे अच्छे खासे इक्विपमेंट यहां पे छोटे छोटे पार्ट्स की वजह से नए इक्विपमेंट हमें साइड में रख देने पड़ते थे। तो ऐसे जो छोटे छोटे पार्ट्स थे, करीबन मोर देन 3000 पार्ट्स ऐसे थे जिन्होंने डिफेंस डिपार्टमेंट ने मार्किंग किए और मोर देन 3000 पार्ट्स को इंपोर्ट नहीं करना है ऐसा लिस्टिंग किया। ये कोई छोटी बात नहीं है, काफी बड़ी बात है कि मोर देन 300 पार्ट्स को आइडेंटिफाई किया कि इतने पार्ट्स हमें इंपोर्ट नहीं करना है, किसी भी हाल में नहीं करना है। जितने भी हमारे मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं उनको मोटिवेट किया गया, जितने भी स्टार्टअप है उनको मोटिवेट किया गया। जैसे एल&टी को हमने मोटिवेट किया। आज हमारे पास 100% इंडिजीनियस आईएसएन विक्रांत हमने लॉन्च किया। ऐसी कई बातें हैं जो देश के वडाप्रधान नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने काफी चेंज लाए हैं। हम लोग यूएस, रशिया, फ्रांस, जर्मनी, स्पेन, साउथ कोरिया, इटली और चाइना, दे आर वर्ल्ड लार्जेस्ट एक्सपोर्टर। और वर्ल्ड की 5 कंपनियां थी जो पूरे वर्ल्ड पर राज कर रही थी, और वर्ल्ड के लार्जेस्ट इंपोर्टर के अंदर बड़ी दुख की बात है कि सबसे पहला नाम हमारा भी था। इंडिया, साउथ अफ्रीका, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, इजिप्ट, पाकिस्तान, जापान, ऐसे देश वर्ल्ड के लार्जेस्ट इंपोर्टर के रूप में थे। शायद ये बात किसी ने बताई होगी, मगर मुझे आप सबको कहने में खुशी होगी कि 2014 से पहले हमारा जो एक्सपोर्ट का टर्नओवर था डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट के अंदर शायद 1900 करोड़ से आसपास था, और 2014 के बाद मोर देन 13,000 करोड़ से भी ज्यादा हमारा एक्सपोर्ट आज इंडिया की जो भी प्रोडक्ट बनती है मोर देन 30,000 करोड़ के एक्सपोर्ट हम लोग कर चुके हैं और 2024 तक मोर देन 35,000 का हमारा एक्सपोर्ट भी होगा डिफेंस के प्रोडक्ट के लिए। हमने ISN विक्रांत बनाया, लाइट वेट तेजस भी बनाया हमने, DRDO भी काफी एयरक्राफ्ट से लेके काफी चीजों का डेवलपमेंट किया है। साथ में मुझे ये भी कहना है कि वाई पीपल चूजिंग इन गुजरात, राजकुमार जी ने काफी विस्तार से बात की है। गुजरात के अंदर जो लिबर्टी इंडस्ट्रीज को मिल रही है वो शायद देश के बाकी राज्यों के अंदर नहीं है। रिसेंटली हमने इंडस्ट्रीज पॉलिसी भी पूरी रिवाइज करके चेंज करी, तो जैसे ही पॉलिसी चेंज हुई काफी लोगों से मिलना हो, काफी लोगों से बातचीत हुई, 2-4 बड़े बिजनेस लीडर से भी मिलना हुआ। उन्होंने उनका मत बताया कि हम लोग तेलंगाना में काम कर रहे हैं, महाराष्ट्र में काम कर रहे हैं, मगर जो लिबर्टी, जो फ्रीडम हमें गुजरात के अंदर मिल रही है वो बाकी और राज्यों में नहीं मिल रही है। और हमारा ड्यूज भी गुजरात के अंदर 0 रहता है। ये कोई छोटी बात नहीं है गुजरात के लिए एज अ इंडस्ट्रीज मिनिस्टर्स कि गुजरात के अंदर इंडस्ट्रीज को जो लिबर्टी हम लोग दे रहे हैं। काफी बात हुई हमारी सेमीकंडक्टर के लिए। सेमीकंडक्टर की पॉलिसी जैसे ही देश ने लॉन्च की, सबसे पहले गुजरात सरकार ने इनिशिएटिव लिया। गुजरात सरकार ने भी सेमीकंडक्टर पॉलिसी लॉन्च की, साथ में ही सेमीकंडक्टर का इन्वेस्टमेंट भी सबसे पहले गुजरात में ले गए। मोर देन 1.1 लाख करोड़ का इन्वेस्टमेंट हम गुजरात में ले आए। साथ में ही 1 लाख से भी ज्यादा जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटी वो गुजरात के अंदर खड़ी होगी। लोग सोच रहे हैं कि भी वाई वी चूजिंग गुजरात, तो पॉलिसी के मामले में गुजरात नंबर 1 है पूरे देश के अंदर। ईज ऑफ डूइंग के अंदर अगर आज गुजरात के अंदर कोई भी बिजनेसमैन जैसे ही अप्लाई करता है, हम लोग ऑनलाइन एप्लीकेशन एक्सेप्ट करते हैं। गुजरात के अंदर देश के यशस्वी वडाप्रधान नरेंद्र मोदी जी जब गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री थे तब सबसे पहले देश की लैंड बैंक अगर किसी ने बनाई ही तो गुजरात के अंदर बनी थी। अगर कोई भी इन्वेस्टर फॉरेन से आता है, इंडिया का कोई भी इन्वेस्टर आता है, उसको अगर लैंड चाहिए कि भी गुजरात के अंदर मुझे लैंड चाहिए। रिसेंटली हमने गतिशक्ति मास्टर प्लान भी एक लॉन्च किया गुजरात के अंदर। वो भी सबसे जैसे ही देश में लॉन्च हुआ सबसे पहला गुजरात इनिशिएटिव स्टेट रहा कि गतिशक्ति मास्टर प्लान के साथ जुड़ा। करीबन देश के 16 डिपार्टमेंट उसके साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, गुजरात के 21 डिपार्टमेंट जुड़े हुए हैं। आपको लैंड कहां पर लेनी है? दरियाई पट्टी के पास लैंड लेनी है, कोस्टल हाईवे के पास लैंड लेनी है, आपको वाटर क्यूरियोसिटी कितने ले उसके पास लैंड चाहिए, आपकी लैंड कहां पर है, उसकी वहां पे क्या क्या फैसिलिटीज अभी अवेलेबल है, उसका रोड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कैसा है, रेलवे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कैसा है, वहां से पोर्ट कितना दूर है, वहां से एयरपोर्ट कितना दूर है, सारी कनेक्टिविटी आपको एक साथ एक ही क्लिक के अंदर मिल जाए, ऐसी फैसिलिटी आज गुजरात के अंदर है। दैट्स व्हाई पीपल आर कमिंग इन गुजरात। इन्वेस्टर के लिए काफी फ्रेंडली अप्रोच भी गुजरात का रहा है और देश के यशस्वी वडाप्रधान नरेंद्र मोदी जी का जो इकोसिस्टम से के माध्यम से जो काम कर रहे हैं, स्टार्टअप के लिए जो काम कर रहे हैं, जो भी इन्वेस्टर्स गुजरात के अंदर आएगा, जो भी इनोवेटर्स आएगा, जो भी रिसर्च डेवलपमेंट करेगा, उसके लिए काफी अपॉर्चुनिटीज आने वाले दिनों में आने वाली है। ड्रोन टेक्नोलॉजी भी आने वाले दिनों के लिए काफी बड़ा स्कोप रहेगा हमारे लिए। डिफेंस के साथ साथ आज गुजरात देश का 50% से भी ज्यादा टेक्सटाइल फैब्रिक्स के अंदर हमारा शेयर है। साथ साथ में डिफेंस के अंदर जितने भी टेक्निकल टेक्सटाइल यूज हो रहे हैं उसकी भी काफी बड़ी मात्रा के अंदर आज गुजरात के अंदर इंडस्ट्रीज लगी हुई है। तो आज गुजरात कहा जाए तो एक भी क्षेत्र के अंदर पीछे हट नहीं है। जैसे भी देश के वड़ा प्रधान जी नरेंद्र मोदी जी गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री थे, उन्होंने जो विजन देखा था, वो विजन से आज गुजरात हर तरीके से आगे बढ़ रहा है। एमएसएमई सेक्टर हो, लार्ज सेक्टर हो, स्मॉल सेक्टर हो, एनी सेक्टर्स, वी आर वेरी फ्रेंडली फॉर इंडस्ट्रीज पीपल। और आज जो डिफेंस एक्सपो का एग्जीबिशन हुआ है, हमारे लिए लगभग 75 देशों से अलग अलग डेलीगेट्स आए, मोर देन 41 कंट्रीज से रक्षा मंत्री भी आए हुए हैं। और जितनी भी प्रोडक्ट यहाँ लगी है, वो 100% प्रोडक्ट इंडियन मैन्युफैक्चर की लगी। वो सबसे बड़ी आजादी के बाद की हमारे लिए खुशी की बात है। कल ही पीएम साहब ने धौलेरा का एक रिव्यू मीटिंग भी रखा था। आने वाले दिनों के अंदर 5000 साल पुराना हमारा जो लोथल है, जो हम लोग वहां से सबसे पहले समुद्री जहाज से एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे थे, वो लोथल का भी रिव्यू किया। मोर देन 3500 का इन्वेस्टमेंट लोथल के अंदर भी आ रहा है। आज गुजरात के अंदर 1600 किलोमीटर का जो कोस्टल एरिया है, वहां पे 48 पोर्ट्स, इंडिया के सबसे ज्यादा पोर्ट्स गुजरात के पास है। तो गुजरात में जितने भी इंडस्ट्रीज वाले आते हैं, उनको सबसे बड़ा एक्सपोर्ट का अपॉर्चुनिटी गुजरात के अंदर काफी इजी रहता है। मेरे ख्याल से गुजरात के लिए काफी अपॉर्चुनिटी बात है कि आने वाले दिनों के अंदर, जैसे नवसारी के अंदर हम लोग टेक्सटाइल पार्क लेके आए, शायद डिफेंस पार्क भी आए तो कुछ नई बात नहीं होगी। आने वाले दिनों के लिए गुजरात के जितने भी इन्वेस्टर्स, जितने भी इंडस्ट्रीज मैन हैं, उनके लिए काफी अपॉर्चुनिटीज आने वाली है। हर क्षेत्र के अंदर गुजरात ने जो डेवलपमेंट किया है, वो काफी बड़ी बात है। जितने भी लोग यहाँ उपस्थित हैं, हम सबके लिए प्राउड की बात है कि मोदी जी आज हमारे साथ है। कहीं मैं गया था सीआईआई के कार्यक्रम के अंदर, तो किसी ने पूछा सीआईआई के प्रेसिडेंट ने कि आप गुजरात का मार्केटिंग कैसे कर लेते हो? तब मैंने कहा था राजकुमार जी कि हमारे पास वर्ल्ड का सबसे अच्छा बेस्ट सीईओ है। सो रियली वी ऑल आर प्राउड ऑफ मोदी जी। आप लोग के डिफेंस एक्सपो में आए, काफी अच्छा लगा। मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है, जितने भी लोग गुजरात बाहर से आए हुए हैं, एक बार स्टैच्यू ऑफ यूनिटी भी विजिट कीजिए। आज थोड़ी देरी से पहुंचा, सॉरी फॉर दैट, मगर यूएन जनरल सेक्रेटरी आए थे, उनको रिसीव करने बड़ौदा जाना पड़ा, और वो भी आज 2 दिन रुकने वाले, वो भी केवड़िया के अंदर है। तो आप देखिए कि मोदी जी का जो विजन है और जो लीडरशिप है, वो लीडरशिप की वजह से हम शायद सोच भी सकते नहीं है कि गुजरात की लीडरशिप और इंडिया की जो सिनारियो चेंज हो रहा है, आज मोदी जी ग्लोबल लीडर के रूप में उभर कर आ रहे हैं। ये हम सब के लिए काफी गौरव की बात है। थैंक यू ऑल ऑफ यू।
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shri Jagdish Vishwakumar ji, for such valuable words. To add on, I would like to say a quote: "Growth is often uncomfortable, messy, and full of feelings you weren't expecting, but it is quite necessary." To end this session, I would like to call upon Srimati Mamta Hirpara, IAS Managing Director, Industrial Extension Bureau, to deliver vote of thanks. Ma'am, please.
Thank you. Good evening all. Gujarat is proud to host the 12th edition of prestigious Defence Expo 2022. This is the largest edition of Defence Expo so far. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Shri Jagdish Vishwakarma ji, Honorable Minister of State for Industries, Government of Gujarat, for gracing today's seminar and sharing his valuable insights. My sincere thanks to Senior Government of Gujarat officials, Shri Rajkumar sir, Additional Chief Secretary, Home and Industries and Mines Department, Shri Harit Shukla sir, Secretary Tourism and Managing Director, Dholera Industrial City Development Limited, and Dr. Rahul Gupta sir, Industries Commissioner. My sincere thanks to our esteemed speakers from the industry, Shri J.D. Patil ji from L&T, Mr. William Blair from Lockheed Martin, Mr. Hari Kumar from Bharat Electronics Limited. As highlighted during the seminar, Government of Gujarat has undertaken several initiatives to promote and attract investments in the state, including the aerospace and defense sector. As the nodal department of Government of Gujarat for investor facilitation, we at the Industrial Extension Bureau will be keen to support prospective investors in their business endeavors in Gujarat. We look forward to partnering with all of you in Gujarat's growth story. On behalf of Government of Gujarat, I once again thank all of you for attending the seminar today and helping us make the Gujarat State Seminar a success. Have a wonderful stay in Gujarat. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank everybody who could take their time out, prestigious time out, and come and join us today. Let's focus on Atmanirbharta, Atmaraksha, and Atmavishwas. Thank you. Have a good day.